How advanced is the new Ford Fusion?
Back in 2006, Ford introduced a new midsize sedan that they called the Fusion, which although was officially a replacement for the long-running Taurus, it also helped fill the gap left behind by the disappointing Contour that ended in 2000.
I'd like to pay for a couple of his shirts, too. And can you give me my card, please?
Along with its two rebadges, the Mercury Milan and Lincoln MKZ, the Fusion would make it into a second generation in 2013, and the same car would be sold as a fourth generation Mondeo in Europe. But as the 2010s progressed, SUVs and crossovers continued to have more sales and profit in the US. And with the only exception being the Mustang, Ford started discontinuing any vehicle that wasn't a truck or oversized wagon-like crossover, with the last holdout being the Fusion, which ended production in July of 2020. But now in 2026, rumors are spreading that Ford may finally be bringing back a sedan to the US shores before the end of the decade. This is the story of the Ford Fusion. This is my old car.
Another curious thing, Detective Kennex. Last night there were no comestible trace particles on your breath, indicating that you were not there for noodles. I think we should
If you look at the Ford website in 2026 and search for the Fusion, it tells you of its cancellation, but it also offers an option to explore other sedan vehicles. And yet when you choose that option, it displays all the Ford SUVs and the Mustang, not a single sedan. There is no denying that the car body style known as a sedan no longer has the popularity it once had when many of my viewers, including myself, first learned how to drive. I remember sedans from Chevy and Oldsmobile were the typical cars we drove back when I took driver's ed. And they also were a likely choice when we bought our first used car.
Normally, you would not be going 65 down the wrong way of a one-way street.
Although the 90s introduced a bit more rounded curves and a bit more style for some sedans, too many of them were generic and bland, whereas the SUV and crossover looked more modern and cool, and still offer the same utility as the wagons and minivans that we rode in as kids, but different enough so not to look like our parents' cars. Some of our parents switched to sedans as they became empty nesters, making the sedan more synonymous with growing old.
Buick LeSabre. If you go for substance, it's you.
As that demographic literally aged out of their cars, US automakers started phasing them out in the late 2010s. But back in the mid-2000s, sedans were still a significant portion of every automaker's portfolio, even as crossovers started to enter the marketplace.
It's so comfortable inside.
Does anyone want to get out?
Ford had once reigned as the king of midsize sedans, with their popular Taurus.
I'm thinking we should look for a drive-thru. I could eat. You won't want to go outside.
But after a disappointing run of the smaller Contour ending in 2000 after just 6 years, and a serious misstep in styling of the third-gen Taurus in 1996, Ford tried to market the compact four-door Focus as the Contour replacement. Or customers could move up to a less polarizing design for the fourth-gen Taurus in 2000. But the days of the Taurus being Ford's most popular car were long gone, so Ford decided to come up with a new name for the Taurus replacement. They decided to go with a name that Ford hadn't used in several years in the North American market, but would have sounded familiar to Ford fans of the past. That name was Futura, which was used on the Falcon Futura in the 1960s, and the Fairmont Futura in the early 1980s. My viewers in Australia may also recognize it, as Ford used it there on their Falcon model into the 2000s. Ford used the Futura name on a concept presented at the New York Auto Show in 2003, but the auto repair shop Pep Boys had trademarked the Futura as its tire brand back in 1989, after Ford let its own trademark lapse, so Ford could no longer use a name they originally created. Ford kept the process of coming up with a new name simple, by picking a name that they already had on a car in Europe. This European car was the Fusion, and it began production in 2002, but it was a much different car. The European Fusion wasn't a sedan, but instead was shaped more like a tall wagon, typically known back then as an MPV, or multi-purpose vehicle. Using the same name for a sedan on the other side of the Atlantic wasn't a concern, as almost no one would be familiar with both cars to get them confused. Ford's connection with Mazda was still strong back in the 2000s, with the new Fusion sedan having started with Mazda's G platform, but with Ford modifications it was known as the CD3 platform. The Mazda platform had been used for the Mazda 6 sedan since 2002, where it was also sold as a 5-door hatchback and a 5-door wagon, whereas the Fusion would only be offered as a 4-door sedan. Ford also used the CD3 platform for the then new Mercury Milan, and like many other Mercury models of the 2000s, its only purpose was to be a slightly more upscale and more expensive Fusion, and to replace the Sable, a former twin of the Ford Taurus. The rebadging wasn't done there, as Lincoln would get their own version called the Zephyr, and was a far cry from the big expensive Lincoln sedans of the past. Although the Zephyr name came from Lincoln's past, it only lasted one model year, as it was renamed to MKZ just a year later as the first Lincoln that transitioned to a new MK naming convention that would eventually become more trouble than it was worth. Check out my Lincoln MK Cars episode for more on that topic. Ford also transitioned its NASCAR fleet to use the Fusion body starting in 2006, and phased out the Taurus version when that model ended production. This marked the first time since the Torino in 1968 that Ford introduced a new model that went racing in NASCAR at the same time as its launch. Ford also developed a fuel cell version of the Fusion, called the Hydrogen 999, in 2007. The Fusion set a land speed record for fuel cell vehicles at the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah, with a top speed of just over 207 miles per hour on August 15, 2007.
The Fusion comes with standard air conditioning, power windows, dual front impact airbags.
Sounds great. Let's go.
Under the hood of the standard production Fusion, along with its Mercury Milan twin, was a standard 2.3-liter four-cylinder that made 160 horsepower, with a manual transmission or optional automatic, and a 3-liter V6 was optional that made 221 horsepower. The V6 also offered the option of all-wheel drive. Otherwise, it had standard front-wheel drive.
So, what do you think, sir? Sir?
The Lincoln Zephyr and later MKZ had the V6 standard.
I'm Mike Rowan. I'm spreading the word about Ford at a gas station.
In 2009, for the 2010 model year, a mid-cycle refresh was done on all three models, with new front and rear fascias and new interiors. This upgrade helped the Fusion reach the top 10 in sales in U.S. by the end of 2009.
What's the most fuel-efficient midsize sedan in America?
It's Ford Fusion.
That's correct.
The same look carried over to the NASCAR models as well. Surprisingly, the Milan was included in this refresh, considering that it was announced mid-2010 that the Mercury brand would be shutting down, resulting in a shortened 2011 model year before Milan production ended in December of 2010.
It's not amazing, it's not terrible, it's just kind of there.
The 2010 refresh also introduced a new 2.5-liter four-cylinder and a 3.5-liter V6, which increased horsepower to 175 and 263 horsepower respectively. There was also a new hybrid option with a continuously variable transmission, or CVT, that paired the 2.5-liter 4 with an electric motor to bump that engine's horsepower to 191 and increase that engine's mileage from 23 to 41 miles per gallon. This same hybrid was offered in the Lincoln and Mercury twins, again the latter being a surprise due to how little time the Milan had before its cancellation. The Lincoln MKZ's hybrid didn't become available until the 2011 model year, and it was Lincoln's first ever model with a four-cylinder engine, as well as its first hybrid.
Introducing the 2011 Lincoln MKZ hybrid. It's not just luxury, it's smarter than that.
For model year 2013, a new generation was introduced for both North America and Europe, as Ford had by this time adopted their One Ford strategy, which was to have the same models sold worldwide. In Europe, the Fusion MPV ended in 2012, replaced with the Ford C-Max. But the European sedan that most closely matched the North American Fusion was the Mondeo, and its fourth generation would share the platform and body as the second generation Fusion in North America, now called the CD4 platform. Whereas the Mondeo was built in Spain, the Fusion continued its production in the same Mexican plant as the first gen, although additional production was added in Flat Rock, Michigan a year later. Although neither car would typically be seen alongside the other, as they were sold on two different continents, if you did see them side by side, it would be clear they were the same car. The Lincoln MKZ was also redesigned with a new CD4 platform, but unlike the cookie-cutter look of the former Mercury, the MKZ maintained unique sheet metal for the body as compared to the Fusion. The new 2013 Fusion adopted Ford's new corporate grille that reminded some people of the Aston Martin grille. Like most sedans back then, the Fusion's profile had a fastback roofline with a smaller trunk opening. Under the hood, Ford offered a 1.6-liter turbo that made slightly better horsepower and a couple more miles per gallon. The V6 was dropped, and in its place was a 2-liter turbocharged 4 that made 240 horsepower. The hybrid carried over from the first gen, although now with a smaller 2-liter 4-cylinder, but it raised the highway mileage from 41 to 43. Also in 2013 was the introduction of a plug-in version of the hybrid that Ford called their Energy model. That's energy with an I instead of a Y. The second-gen Fusion had a wide range of trims, from the base S model with its cloth seats, 4-speaker stereo, and 16-inch wheels with plastic hubcaps, a mid-range SE trim, and the titanium trim that had power leather seats, a Sony premium sound system, and 18-inch alloy wheels. By 2017, two new trims were added, Sport and Platinum. The Sport trim brought back the V6, now a 2.7-liter EcoBoost that made 325 horsepower, along with a black mesh grille, 19-inch wheels, a deck lid spoiler, quad exhaust pipes, and standard all-wheel drive. The Platinum trim was a top-of-the-line model, which added heated and cooled front seats, Nappa leather, its own unique chrome mesh grille, and a power moonroof. Yet despite all these improvements, sales of the Fusion were on the downswing. Sales reached their peak of nearly 307,000 in 2014, but that number dropped to less than 210,000 in 2017. This despite the Fusion being awarded MotorWeek's Driver Choice Award for Best Family Sedan that same year. Sales of the larger Taurus was dropping as well. 2017 was also the start of new development for an addition to Ford's police fleet by offering the Fusion as their first hybrid police car. It was during this year that Ford was touting several green initiatives, with hybrids being considered for several models by 2020. The hope was that law enforcement would prefer the hybrid Fusion patrol car, as it would save on fuel by allowing many of the power-hungry accessories within the car to be powered by the battery, and to allow the battery to keep the car running during long idle periods. The combination of the gas engine and electric motor also allowed the Fusion hybrid to reach top pursuit speeds of 119 miles per hour. However, by this point, Ford already supplied 70% of all police units with their Explorer, and the Taurus police car was losing popularity due to its smaller size and limited cargo space. So the Fusion hybrid police car, whose interior was smaller and more cramped than the Taurus, with all the police equipment on board, was already fighting a losing battle for acceptance among the law enforcement community before it even reached production. Then came April 25, 2018, when Ford officially announced it would be ending production of all sedan models in North America by 2020, which meant that along with the Fusion, the Taurus, Focus, and Fiesta would also be eliminated. Even the C-Max, which wasn't even a sedan, got the axe as well. Sedan models under the Lincoln brand would be gone by 2020 as well. Since the hybrid police platform was already in development, Ford still brought it to production, but it wasn't available until later in 2018, so its end date was already known before any police departments could buy them. New York was probably the largest purchaser of them, but they still represented a small fraction of the overall police fleet. Ford dropped the sport model of the Fusion for 2019, which in turn eliminated the only V6 in the lineup. And before the end of 2018, Ford had already terminated any national advertising for all the sedans in their lineup, which makes sense since much of the remaining sales were for rental car fleets. The Fusion, which had the highest sales of any Ford sedan, and was also the best option for fleets, was given the farthest out end date for the remaining sedans, with the last models of the Fusion built in July of 2020.
Wonder what these nuts are for.
Not unexpectedly, sales for 2020 were the lowest yearly total during the Fusion's entire run, at less than 12,000 sold. As I write this in 2026, Ford hasn't sold another sedan in North America since the last Fusion left the assembly line. General Motors and Chrysler followed a similar pattern, although they both still have a small number of sedans left. GM still has 2 sedans planned for 2027, both Cadillacs, the gas-powered CT5 and Celestiq EV, although the latter barely counts, as only 25 Celestiqs were sold in 2025. Dodge is the only Mopar brand that still has a sedan for 2027, with a gas-powered 4-door Charger being revealed in 2025, after a 2-year gap of no 4-door sedans when the gas-powered Charger ended production in 2023. Meanwhile, Toyota still sells the Camry and its new Crown sedan and compact Corolla. Honda still sells the midsize Accord and compact Civic. And from Korea, Hyundai still sells the 4-door Sonata and Elantra. And Kia has 2 sedans, the K5 and K4, which replaced the former Optima and Forte. Kia also recently began sales of a 5-door hatchback version of the K4. US automakers are now finally realizing that sedans are doing fairly well with their competitors, and maybe it's time to bring them back as well. GM recently announced that before the end of the decade, they plan to offer a new sedan for Buick, likely built on the same platform as the Cadillac CT5, and maybe even a new 4-door variant of the Camaro, although hopefully that one gets a different name. Chrysler is also considering bringing back a sedan as a successor to the now defunct 300. And now Ford is also throwing its hat in the ring, promising a new sedan coming soon, and claiming it will start at under $40,000 US, an important requirement to ensure it has a chance for the average buyer to afford it. So what is bringing back this interest in sedans? Well, oddly enough, it is young people, the same people who left the sedan market when the SUV became a more practical option. The average SUV is now far more expensive than they were 20 years ago, and many have simply grown too large and inefficient for daily commutes. Smaller crossovers like the Chevy Trax and Buick Envista have gained in popularity due to their smaller size, and most of those sales are younger buyers. Ford is hoping that a new inexpensive sedan may finally encourage a comeback for sedans, something that many car nuts like me have been waiting for far too long.
Peanuts, Place item in bag. Place item in bag. Place item in
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Wart remover. Wart remover. Wart remover. Wart.
This is life.
If you once owned a car from the 70s to mid-2000s that you rarely see today, and would like it featured in a future episode, leave a reply in the comments or contact me at the email shown here. See you next time.